I've mentioned before that I'm a fan of combat sports, right? Just jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, kickboxing, most definitely MMA, boxing. I would say MMA is my favorite out of all of them. That's the one that I keep up with the most. Anyways, the whole purpose of me telling you this is that there was a recent interview with a fighter named Sean O'Malley, Sugar Sean O'Malley, and he's in the UFC now. He was a former champion, and he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about how every time he opens up his social media, whether that's Instagram or whatever he uses, he gets this low level of anxiety. And I remember Joe Rogan uh, agreeing with that. So the whole purpose of me bringing this up is just that low level as anxiety. I know we can talk forever about Joe Rogan. That's like one of the most controversial figures. And in my opinion, I don't understand what's so controversial about him. I guess some things, his political leanings, of course, that's always going to be a hot topic. Anybody, that's just not a Joe Rogan exclusive thing. That's, you can take your favorite celebrity, and the second they start aligning themselves politically with someone, oh boy. So I guess I do understand, but I don't know, I don't agree with a lot of it. Anyways, once again, I'm already in the weeds. I haven't even been recording for 5 minutes. That low level of anxiety. Um, I feel that, and I'm not even a celebrity. I'm a regular nobody. And I say nobody, I'm a normal person. Nobody sounds like I'm self-deprecating. Is that the word? Which I guess I kind of am, but I don't really mean it. I know I'm a normal guy, and there's nothing wrong with being normal, even though social media completely will have you thinking the opposite, right? They make it seem like being normal is the most boring thing ever. And that low level of anxiety that Sugar Sean was talking about, I like I said, I feel that. And I start to think, and that's the way I am. I don't like just feeling things and not knowing why I feel them. And that goes also just not with on an emotional level, but also anything physical too. If I feel some sort of weird pain, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, what's causing this? I feel like that with people, with things, politics, everything. I always want to know what's causing this. I want to know the root cause. And I look at internet culture, and I believe this is it. This is why he feels and I feel this low level of anxiety. I think it's just because we all know that social media, especially the comment sections, is a dumpster fire, right? And it's a shame because if used properly, it's a beautiful thing, right? You can communicate. If you use social media properly, you can communicate with someone from across the world in seconds, right? I can talk to someone. I'm in the East Coast in the US. I'm in Pennsylvania, and I can communicate with someone in Japan in seconds, and that's amazing. It's amazing. Of course, you got to take time zones in consideration and whatever you're using, what kind of tech you're using. But long story short, for the most part, a phone, just a simple text message can be received from someone across the world in mere seconds. And that's amazing. And it's like if you use it, if you utilize social media that way, everything's great. But if you use it to start fights, which most of us do, and I believe I've said this before, I remember reading, or I don't know if it was reading or if it was a podcast or some sort of a YouTube video. I don't know. But I remember seeing that most people online, the number one most, I guess, done activity, I could phrase that better. The number one thing that people like doing the most on social media is fighting, or not only social media, but just when they get on the internet. And that's crazy because I think somebody took a not a poll. I don't remember. It was some sort of not experiment neither, but research was done, and I guess they spoke to a lot of people, a large amount of people. I don't even know who they are, but basically it said that I thought that most people like to go online and find porn, maybe jerk off or buy stuff off Amazon. And don't get me wrong, those are definitely on the top 5 things that people like doing the most. But it turns out that fighting is the number one. It takes the number one spot. Like arguing with someone who doesn't you don't agree with, whether it's through politics, whether it's I'm sorry, arguing for politics, arguing for video games, trivial, mundane shit. People just argue. And I see it. I've seen it in my own eyes over these years, like how you can take one subject and the internet is, social media especially, is fantastic at dissecting this one photo or this one thing you said. And that one thing you did, said, showed, whatever you did, it's filtered through this one app, right? Let's say you post up a photo on Instagram, and that photo is viewed by thousands, sometimes even millions of people, depending on who you are, if you're a celebrity or whatever. And everybody has a different view on it. Some are being very malicious and disgusting. You know, they're intentionally starting a fight or trolling that's viewed as cool. And that's part of the problem, right? Like, that's what makes internet culture toxic in general, right? Um, you say something or you post a photo and is viewed through the lens of this Instagram or whatever, and you have thousands upon millions of different views on it, even though for the most part people kind of know what it's like. Like, I'll give you an example. I could post a photo of me walking a dog, right? And to me it's the most mundane shit, mundane shit. I can write in the caption like walking Sparky, and people will go look at the fucking brand of his dog leash. Yeah, that company is known for, you know, being friends with pedophiles in politics. And you're like, what the fuck, bro? Like, that's how much not only people, not only that's how much time people have, but that's how much they want to fight. They're somebody did the research. And I know that sounds like an extreme example to some of you, but that's legit what people do online. They look for reasons like that to start fights with you. You align yourself with someone politically, or let's say you just like someone. What if you don't align yourself with someone politically and just go, I kind of like what he's saying, that makes sense to me, bang, that's it, you're done. Like, it's weird. And it's like, if I was to say what I'm telling you now, because basically I'm complaining, right? If I was to say this online, people would be like, oh, this is your first day on the internet, right? And what they mean is like, this is the way the internet is. The internet is this crazy, toxic, disgusting thing. And I've spoke about this before at length. I'm sure I've got some videos about it, and there's nothing new that I'm saying. But I think about video games, as because it applies to everything. It's just not politics, even though that seems to be the biggest thing that people fight about. I don't remember exactly, like I said, that example that I gave earlier about me watching a podcast or watching a video, and somebody said that a survey or some sort of research was done where people fight the most online. That's the number one most done activity. I don't know what they were fighting about. It might have been politics. I wouldn't be surprised. But I was just so blown away that I don't remember listening to the rest. I was just like, damn, people choose to fight over jerking off. That's what was going in my mind. I was like, I would rather do the opposite if I had the choice, like I don't know. And I know everyone's different. And I get it. Like, I get why people want to fight, because sometimes I want to fight and I don't do those, like the last time I engaged someone online where we went back and forth was years ago. And I remember not feeling good about it, and it wasn't even like a heated argument. I can't tell you what it was about. I can't tell you what I said, but this was years ago. And I remember it wasn't even a bad exchange. It wasn't a great exchange between me and this random stranger, but it wasn't disrespectful to the point where we were calling each other names, or it was just they disagreed, I disagreed. It was kind of one of those, right? It was kind of civil for the most part. And I was just thinking, like, I don't feel good. This doesn't feel good. I'm getting upset. Like, my heart is racing. Like, and I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know this guy. But then this is why it's hard for me to judge, these people who spend so much time online fighting with each other, because I get it. I see the allure, and it's an easy trap to fall into, but man, you can't do it, man. And then, what makes internet culture so toxic is a mixture of a bunch of different factors, right? People like to troll. Like I said earlier, people are intentionally starting fights by saying controversial, inflammatory things, right? These people fucking suck. But that's internet culture, right? People love it. That gets praised, right? I saw a post the other day. As a matter of fact, this is kind of the reason why I'm talking about this because I saw that and I remember going like, wow, that is so fucking shitty, right? Like it was this one fighter who I don't know because like I said, I do follow combat sports, but I don't really follow people's personal lives or fighters' personal lives. I follow them on Instagram and I see some of them involved in some controversial shit. But for the most part, I don't give a fuck. I just want to know when you're your next fight. You know, are you healthy in camp? Because I want to see you in action. That's what I care about. 90%. Every now and then I'll see they'll do something outside of the cage or ring or whatever they do for their profession. And I go, oh, that's interesting. I'll follow that. But for the most part, the vast majority of the time, I'm just worried about whether they can fight or not. But these people, they're worried about who they align themselves with politically, like I was saying earlier. Also, you know, oh yeah, this one particular person is uh was dating a girl that was way younger than he was. They go back and like I said earlier, you know, like I gave that example about the dog leash, how they would just find minute things and they just blow it up out of proportion. Next thing you know, it becomes a shitstorm online. And it always seems like it's a big deal when it's online. And we all know, all of us know, that the ones who start the most shit online, you already know that if you bumped into these people in real life, they wouldn't do this. And that's the part that fucking upsets me the most, right? It's that these people, it's like an outrage. It's recreational. It's fun. It's like a sport to them. It's a hobby. I'm going to go online and argue. Me, personally, I would like to go outside and do something with my life, preferably touch grass. Or, you know, go hang out with a friend, have some pizza, watch some fights, do some, you know, I don't go like, yo, man, I'm bored. I'm going to go online and start trolling. I don't understand that and I never will. I never will. Maybe I'm an old man. Maybe this is a young people thing. Dude, I mean that. I don't understand it. I don't get it. There has to be something I'm not getting in my, you know, dinosaur of an age. But to backtrack, I did see this one post of this girl who was she's still a fighter. She used to fight in the UFC, and I don't know what happened because I don't know the background or the story of it. But supposedly, she was involved with a guy when she was much younger than he was, and supposedly some words like grooming were thrown around. And I remember this guy just went on her page and just started talking about her like it's not her page and like she's not gonna listen or like she's not gonna, you know, like imagine if someone did that same move in real life. You know how fucking weird that would be, right? Like if imagine if I don't know, let's say I'll use myself as an example. Imagine if I got in trouble at work, right? And one of my coworkers was talking to another coworker while I was present. And I'm listening to their conversation and they know I'm in the room because they're looking at me and they're going, yeah, Danny, he got in trouble. Can you believe that, man? This guy, man, he's always getting it. Like, and I'm like, hey guys, I'm right here. I'm, I'm right here. Like, you could just talk to me about it. Like, that's how it was online. Like, he just started talking about this whole quote unquote grooming incident or whatever. What, like on her page, like she's not gonna see it. It was so bizarre, and I remember just thinking, like this is fucking weird. That's weird behavior, you know. And of course, you're gonna have your. Would I say that's an exception? I wish I can, but people do it all the time. They don't do it as blatant as that guy did. But you know what's crazy? The craziest part about that is that other people chimed in. Like if that's not her page, like they went to the girl's page, the fighter's page, and started talking about her. Like if she's not gonna see, like that, it's her page. That's a behavior that you would never do in real life. I know those guys would never do something like that in real life. And I'm assuming they're guys. Who knows who they are? Could have been chicks. I have no idea. All I know is that that's so weird. And like I said, what's even weirder is that other people engaged. They started talking about the incident like it's not her page. And I remember just thinking, like, that's so fucked up. Like, and she responded, by the way, and it wasn't a good response. She kind of fed the trolls a little bit, which you never do. Don't feed these fucking assholes. You know, I'm a big I'm a big believer in free speech, right? And with free speech, you have to take the good with the bad. And what I just named, that example, that's a bad example of free speech, but you have to take that. right? If you're going to go online, if you're going to stand on your soapbox and say something publicly, you have to be, and especially if it's a criticism, if you're going to say that publicly, you got to be prepared to be criticized right back. Don't be one of those fucking people that you stand on your little soapbox, you say some things politically, and you turn off your comments. Stop this. Stop this behavior. Stop this behavior. Like, let people criticize you. I know it hurts when people say things that you don't like. I see celebrities do it all the time. It drives me insane. Let people hurt your feelings. That's fine. You don't think you're hurting people's feelings by saying the shit you're saying? Obviously, if they want to respond, right, they feel some sort of they feel compelled to. You said something inflammatory to them. Well, let them say something inflammatory to you too. That's just the way I see it. If you're gonna dish it out, you better be prepared to take it. That's all I'm saying. That's my viewpoint on things. Of course, some people would disagree. Well, if you're a celebrity and you have high social standing and, you don't have no idea the amount of overwhelming comments that you get, it's enough to, all right, whatever. Anyone can find anything to go against what I'm saying. You can, fine, do your thing. I just don't agree with that. I just feel like if you're going to say something publicly, be prepared to be criticized publicly right back. But it's weird. It's just weird that we accept this type of behavior online and we kind of just chalk it up, right? Like I said, if I was to complain, everything that I'm saying now, if I was to say through text online, you would be like, this guy is an old man and it has to be his first day on the internet. And why? Easy, because the internet is toxic and everyone's used to it. They're like, this is just what you do on the internet, man. You troll, you bullshit, you don't take nobody serious, because to a lot of people, there's a disconnect, right? Oh, yeah, and everybody likes to punch up, at least in most cases, right? Oh, well, I'm a poor man. I'm a poor nobody, and I'm punching up on a celebrity or a politician, right? That's a cool, fun thing to do. Yeah, some people take it overboard. I've seen it many times, especially when politics are involved. They start talking about people like, I hope he fucking dies. And I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be like the next mass shooter, probably. And of course, you got others that know, the ones that are quote unquote based. Those are the ones that know. They go, yeah, I know what this is like, what this internet culture is like. So I'm not going to engage. I'm just going to laugh. I'm here for a good time. Those guys, at least I understand. They're just laughing, or they're just feeding. They're just fucking with each other, or they phrase their little snarky remarks in a way that they're trolling. They're over the top, where you're just like, okay, this is just funny because now he knows that this one person is being serious, so he's not going to engage. He's just going to be funny. I'll rather listen to those, or sorry, I'll rather view those type of comments, because at least I know they're not really playing the game. It's a weird thing. And mind you, by the way, the girl that I'm talking about is a trained professional fighter. So, like, imagine talking shit to a fighter only on the internet, right? Like, only on the age of the internet, it's become cool. Like, back then, we used to call them keyboard warriors, right? Where it's like, oh, you talk all this shit online, but in real life, you would never do that. Now, keyboard warriors is like, they're like the leading popular group. You know how you go to high school, you have these cliques in high school. You have the pretty girls, you have the jocks, you have the goths, you have the nerds. Well, like the number one most popular, the popular kids would be the trollers, the arguers, the arguer, is that a word? The people who stir up shit. The people who are controversial and enjoy that. Those are the popular kids. They're the cool kids in class. And it's weird. The keyboard warriors have won. Before, that's all you had to say. It's just like, oh, you a bitch. You're being a pussy. You're hiding behind your keyboard. And now it's like, you can't call them that anymore. You call them trolls. They evolved. And I think that has to do with the fact that there's a lot of bitch ass dudes and women online, and they kind of just get together, right? And then now it's become a movement. Now it's no longer being a bitch ass dude. It's a troll. It's weird. It's fucking weird, man, how that evolved, And at the risk of sounding like an old man, I just don't get it. I guess it's not for me, man. That's why I don't engage. Although, once again, I'm not a fucking robot. I totally understand why people go back and forth with people, man. It's hard, especially when somebody says some uninformed, ridiculous shit, and you're just like, oh Lord, man. Celebrities, especially, right? You know, what was that shit that Billie Eilish said? Is that her name? Billie Eilish. I think that's her name. I don't know. I don't listen to that lady, but like, you can't something you can't slavery on stolen land. I don't know. She says something. That shit sounds so like. I hope she went home that day and went like, why the fuck did I say that? I hope she did that. I hope. But something tells me no. Something tells me in her heart that's what she really believes. And that right there makes it not only cringy, but it also makes it like, wow, you are feeding into the stereotype of the dumb, uninformed celebrity. You know, I don't believe, I believe that whoever you are, whether you're a celebrity or a normal person or a politician, or, I believe you do have your opinion, man. Just all I'm saying is that we have so much information at our fingertips through phones, through laptops. Be informed, especially if you're a public figure. At least do your research before you say something, right? That way, when someone presses you, you be like, well, at least I did a little research on this subject. Don't just say some shit that sounds cool and you didn't even look it up. Like that happens to people all the time. You know, I always think of there was this one example. I remember when Bill Maher, Bill Maher, the political pundit guy. I remember him and Ice Cube had a beef. That's the most random, weirdest beef ever. But I remember they were pressing Ice Cube. I think he was on a talk show or something, and someone was pressing Ice Cube saying, "Why do you think that? That's not, accurate. That's not." And eventually Ice Cube broke down because all he had was like, "White people are racist." And eventually he got pressed to the point where he was like, "Man, I don't know. I'm just a rapper." And I remember I burst out laughing because I was like, it didn't take long for him to, finally admit, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I didn't do no research. I'm just grifting. I'm just going from talk show to talk show saying how Bill Maher is racist, and he didn't have no real content to stand on. He didn't have no legs to stand on. He was just running off that shallow phrase, and it just I don't give a fuck who you politically align yourself with. Just know what you're doing and who you're standing by. Know what you're saying before you. That's all I'm saying. Just be informed, whether you're right, left, libertarian, independent, moderate, whatever you are, right? Even if you're not something from the US, just be informed. Be a little knowledgeable. I don't feel like that's a lot to ask for, you know? Even if we disagree, at least I can walk away from that conversation going like, man, this guy at least knows his shit. I don't agree with him, but I respect the fact that he knows his shit. It's a weird world that we live in, and social media is a big reason as to why maybe I'm a hopeless romantic, maybe I'm a raving optimist, but I still believe that social media is a beautiful thing. Even now, it really is, especially if you use it the way I use it, where you just kind of, I'm a lurker, man. That's what the kids call it, I think. I don't know if they still call it that. They did a few years ago. But that's what I am. I'm just lurking. I barely like things. I kind of treat it like a window that I poke my head into and kind of just go, all right, and then poke my head out. But I don't disturb anything, you know? And it's fun to watch, sometimes it's angering, sometimes it's hilarious. But even as crazy as these people are online, I don't know if I would change a thing. I know that sounds crazy, but because you got to be careful when it comes to free speech, right? If you start limiting people, then, that can turn the balance on things. So, yeah, I do believe that people are allowed to be trolls and assholes and be rude. They're allowed. That's part of free speech, because I don't want to live in a country or a world, no matter where I am in the world or what country I'm in. I don't want to live in a land, a territory, a place where I can't say what I feel, even if it's politically incorrect, even if it is inflammatory, even if someone else doesn't agree with it. And I know that, like, I want to be able to say it. I don't want to just be quiet and toe the line, and unfortunately, there are countries like that where, I'm thinking of an extreme example like North Korea, but I'm sure if I sit here and I think, Like, I mean, you can even say the UK, right? There's people getting arrested for tweets. I don't know how frequent that is. I do know it's happening, but I don't know if it's like, you know, if it's an everyday thing or if it's out of control. I have no idea. I don't follow the news overseas, but I did hear people were getting arrested for tweets, and I'm like, that is insane to me, right? Like, slippery slope, man. But I have hopes, man. I have hopes that I don't know if things will turn around with social media. I don't know if it'll not be toxic anymore and finally heal. But I do know that as crazy as this sounds and as angry as I get with it sometimes, I would rather have it than not have it. Some people will go pull the plug. There's plenty of people out there. It's just like pull the fucking plug on this internet shit. Enough. Well, not internet, social media. Like pull the plug. I don't think I want to pull the plug, because I don't know how life would be without it. Well, I do, obviously, because I was alive before the internet. That's how old I am. But I don't know if I want to go back. I like the internet. I like social media. I guess what I'm saying is life is just much better when you're not engaging in bullshit all the time. Not just social media, also just people, things, jobs, partners, anyone, co-workers, anyone. As long as you're not engaging with the bullshit and you kind of just go like, enough is enough. I'm getting away from this. I know this isn't good for me. Basically, not only with social media, if I can leave you with one thing, and I guess leave myself with one thing, because I practice what I preach, at least I try to, is don't engage in bullshit, man. Don't engage it as tempting and alluring as it might be, and like I said before, it don't matter what it is, whether it's social media, whether it's people, whether it's things, places. If you know it ain't good for you and you know like this isn't really benefiting me or it's not working out anymore, maybe it was working out at one point, but it's not, it's bullshit now, wasn't before, but we're focusing on it now, it's not working now, it's time to go. It's time to find something better. And there's always something better, right? As long as you keep searching for it. I didn't mean to end this off being so fucking inspirational, but here we are. I'm starving, I'm hungry, I'm out of here. I don't even know what to name this. I guess you can add it to my other 30 videos about how much I hate social media or whatever. See you guys.